I can read it.
Is finance board meeting. That's with the new treasurer. Let's come on up here. I guess basically we just gotta go.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So Stark County currently has 3 investments. We have a hospital fund at First Source Bank in the amount of $5,710,094.64, which is currently earning a 0.95% interest rate. The railroad fund is also held at First Source Bank in the amount of $411,662.35, and currently earning a 2.910% rate. The ditch maintenance fund is also at First Source Bank in the amount of $410,000 and currently earning 0.95% interest. All 3 of these investments will mature on April 8th of this year, and we will need to decide at that time what to do with them. With COVID, the interest rates are really low right now, so they need to be watched and considered for future investments. So before reinvesting the money, we will be checking the interest rates. In 2020, the county earned a total of $31,730.61 in interest on a regular checking account, ending the year with an interest rate of 0.10%. In 2019, the county earned $209,748.56 in interest on the same account with an interest rate of 1.55%. And in 2018, the total interest earned on that same account was $187,439.83 on the same account with an interest rate of 2.27%. In reviewing previous year's interest earned on our checking account and their interest rates, I was concerned and brought this to the attention of Rachel Ostrike and David Pearman. I have talked with Judy at First Source Bank about this, and she says due to COVID, all interest rates hit the floor, and she assured me that they keep ours at a cap of that 0.10% until the interest rates start coming back up. And further looking into this, I found the interest rate in January of 2020 was 1.55%, and interest earned in just that month was $11,287.84. In February of 2020, the interest rate was 1.58%, earning the county a total of $11,365.48. In March of 2020 was when the interest rate started dropping down, and it went down to 0.65%, earning interest in the amount of $4,893.52. In April 2020 was when the interest rate dropped to the floor rate we're currently at right now. And from then until December, the interest earned on the account was $4,183.77, making the 2020 yearly earned total on the county's regular checking account to that $31,730.61 amount. We're looking into this to be sure this is something that is across the board and we're not losing out on potential interest somewhere else.
Okay, we'll stay on top of that, because, yeah, I understand everything, took a hit in the second quarter last year, but by the fourth quarter, things were mostly back to where they were January 1, 2020. So,
Still the same rate.
Yeah, Dave.
This seems pretty interesting, because if you remember, actually, they didn't return, they're terrible. What's going on is that normally that's about $200,000 to our cash flow. And remember when, at the end of the year, we were all trying to figure all these different things that were going on. Well, Lori jumped right into it when she started off, and we were talking about different investments and things like that. She said, I'll get back to you. So we looked at the numbers, they didn't look right. So I got a hold of Marty right away, because what concerned me was looking at those interest rates. One of the questions I had was, this just a first source thing, or was this across all banks? And so I did ask Lori to ask First Source to put it in writing, that it's the first thing, and they did put it in writing. But it is concerning. It is concerning for the decisions for the future investments too in April, which, we obviously all put our heads together. But like I said, I had talked to Marty about this like right away in January as well. But it's really unfortunate. What really gets me is around 3%, but the interest rate's 0.1%.
Oh, this is the one.
No,
It is concerning for our cash flow.
right, definitely. Okay, well, thank you. Then we got, I guess, talk about the rezoning for the solar project out by Bass Lake.
Is Attorney Shawman available?
Yes,
Oh,
good evening.
good evening.
Sorry, I'm appearing very large over your shoulder, at least as far as I can see. Thanks for your time tonight. Tonight I have several of the landowners, as well as developer Nick Cohen and engineer Kevin Parzik, help answer any questions. A packet of information was provided, as well as several maps outlining the request and several of the commitments the developer is willing to make. Ultimately, what's important here is that all of this land in question is currently tilled. All of the land is currently used for some type of agricultural production. None of the land is destined for residential use. And most of it isn't suitable for one reason or another. All, to the extent possible, I think almost all of the woodlands are being kept to provide buffers for any existing residential uses. And while the developer's intent is to develop a solar farm, it is consistent with the ordinance that was previously passed, and they plan on doing so within the setbacks and requirements as set forth in that ordinance. This is, a couple hundred acres south in the southern part of the county, and is currently comprised of residential R2 zoning and local business zoning. The local business zoning is farther to the south near the old rail line. There's not really a future for local businesses there, and it will forever be an agricultural use. These commissioners and the Plan Commission have already determined that solar farms are appropriate in ag zones. The land has always been agriculturally used and will continue to do that. In fact, the portions that were rezoned to R2 were only done for, as you know, for some sewer district money, which is all taken care of and done. The developer has been working with the neighbors, speaking with them, and in doing so and trying to address some of their concerns, willing to make two specific commitments with respect to solar panels. On the Swanson parcel on the north, in the northwest corner, they will not put panels and are willing to make a written commitment should the rezone get approved. And that commitment would be recorded with the real estate and binding on any future owners. Likewise, the Welker parcel, a little bit farther south than that, is willing to take the corner west of the ditch. They're using ditches as a good delineating factor to create an additional buffer from some of those neighboring houses and the lake. Likewise, that commitment would be recorded. In addition, the developer has been working with some of the Bass Lake Owners Association and is willing to fund the exploration of potential pumping of the existing irrigation wells to help maintain levels at the lake. Obviously, that has a lot of environmental regulations with IDEM, DNR, and potentially certain federal regulations. Developer has already engaged Lockmiller, an environmental engineering firm, to explore that, and they're willing to continue to do that, and are willing to pump into the lake to the extent that it is feasible and permitted. That's something that came out of discussions with the lake owners. We'd be happy to answer any specific questions, but ultimately think that this project will bring a lot of economic development to the area, and it's a relatively targeted request for areas that are already segregated by woods and currently farmed. I'd be remiss if I didn't note that the Economic Development Corporation with Lisa Dan and formerly Larry Wickert, they're in support of the project and are willing here to speak tonight, as well as several of the other landowners. We think it'd be a good opportunity for the county and really have significantly more benefits with ultimately no infrastructure burdens. Rarely do you have such a project with such significant investment that has very little infrastructure burden on the county. And your ordinance certainly ensure that and encourage this type of development. But we'd be happy to answer any specific questions.
One thing I wanted to do is to make a record on this, how we got here today. Just under the rules for these kind of things, when it comes to the Plan Commission, it's while the Plan Commission has the public hearing, but the rules require that the commissioners note that they're going to address the matter at their meeting, which notice was given on December 7th meeting. The matter was then taken under, was tabled until the first meeting in January, which then was put off again at the request of the petitioners. And then some information was provided by the petitioners at the last meeting. I don't remember what the date that was, the second meeting in January. And the matter was tabled again at that point. And I'm just explaining here that we did give the notice that was required on December 7th, and this meeting has been carried over by a series of extensions since that time. And we have one thing I want to explain to the commissioners is the procedure this works by. This goes up in front of the hearing, as I said before, at the Plan Commission, which has already been done. And I understand that the Plan Commission conducted all those hearings and all the notices were given, correct, Mr. Shellman?
That's correct. And copies of the certifieds and publications have been provided to the APC staff, and the auditor also has copies.
And the way the statute reads, the job of it's an advisory Plan Commission. The final decision rests with this body, but that board actually conducts the hearing. They have they certify the request to this board, along with either a recommendation to adopt the change, a recommendation to deny the change, or a recommendation or no recommendation at all. All three of those are possible. There's a 90-day period during which this board can act on that. If they don't act on that, then the decision of the plan commission becomes final. But if they do act on it, then your decision is not really influenced by what theirs was. Now, they didn't specifically use the term certify, but I would suggest that this board consider their passing of that document on to you with either a recommendation or, in any event, in any form, as a certification that the statute requires, and that then it is properly before you to make a decision. One question I've had here is about the proposed ordinances, because Mr. Shaw, I think this is correct. The request now has had some additional conditions put on it since the original petitions, and it's also had some areas removed from it. And you've also added specific signatures by the property owners since that. Are those all correct?
That is all correct. With respect to the land involved, I think it's important to note that it has been shrunk rather than increased.
Right, and I think I agree that's critical, because I don't think you need to go back, and I see no sense in, or reason why you would have to go back and redo your notices or the hearings upon a reduction. Obviously, you added new land, you'd have to go through the process on the new land, but not on the old land that you already got. Now, one thing I think the board is concerned about is trying to figure out exactly where we're at in terms of the property that's involved. I've been reviewing the proposed ordinances, and I'm a little confused by we got these today, and they're helpful. I'm not sure that the legal descriptions are all what we wanted. One thing I have two that have the same description. It appears to be Welker. The Welker description, the second one being the southwest quarter of section 19, township 32 north, range 1 west, second PM, the other one being the east half of the southeast quarter of section 24, township 32 north, range 2 west. That appears to be the Welker property, is it not?
That is correct.
Okay, now which one of these is the Swanson property? We didn't have a map. I mean, maybe it did come in, but somehow it didn't end up with the other ones.
I didn't see it.
But yeah.
I can share my screen.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
So the Swanson property here is located just to the north. You'll see 650 running along the south side, and just to the south is the ditch that runs through the middle of the Welker property. So this parcel, like all the others, are contiguous to existing ag. And as you note, that the red area up in the northwest corner has been removed due to its proximity to the neighbors in the lake. Also, as of note, in the original request, the 40 acres that were wooded to the north were also included, but they were reduced and pulled out of that.
Now, Mr. Shulman, that property, is it all in section 19?
Let me confirm that.
I'm not, that one, I haven't been able to figure out exactly which one of these descriptions in here is that one. Maybe I'm just missing it.
Let me pull that real quick.
It appears to be mostly in the north half of section 19, right?
See, this is given what the documents that were emailed to us, how they were labeled, it seems that this first one, it's on the top of this packet,
Isn't it? Yeah,
is labeled as the Swanson property.
and that has the second description, is the southwest quarter of section 19, township 32 north, range 1 west, right?
Yes.
I believe that's the Welker property. I mean, maybe I'm reading
Well, the
something
Welker
wrong.
property is listed at, well, yeah, okay. Hang on, let me look at this
Have
again.
the same descriptions.
So
Yes, they do.
I will confirm that. That could be a mistake.
Yeah.
I will note, I can certainly give you the parcel numbers offhand. I do have those available, but I can follow up with the legal descriptions and supplement those.
That's my big concern, is making sure the legal descriptions that we passed tonight match
For sure.
showing on the screen here, especially with respect to the Swanson property, because I think that's where the most contention from the residents of Bass Lake
Certain.
came from.
And to the extent that it would not be consistent with the map, we certainly change that. It appears there might be just the legal description issue, but the parcels reflected on this map and the legal descriptions associated, I can update your, if it is in fact not the same.
Well, Mr. Sheldon, would your client object if this was, I mean, to the extension of time beyond the 90-day period, to revisit this at the next meeting, make sure we have I'm concerned, to make sure we get these ordinances cut with correct descriptions.
We would not object to the Swanson parcel.
Okay,
Would want to proceed with the others, which should be prepared to go.
I've checked the Welker one, and that appears to be the correct legal description, in my opinion. That's the one that's on the 2. It starts out with the east half of the southeast quarter of section 24, township 32 north, range 2 west, right? And the other one is the southwest quarter of section 19. Now, this one is subject to an additional condition that it wouldn't include any panels to the northwest of the ditch that's in the westerly parcel of that Welker property, correct?
Yes.
Is that, I mean, getting back to the legal descriptions, is there a reason it needs to be rezoned if it's not going to have panels in it?
That's not a defined area. See, it's the whole parcel there. So we don't have a meets and bound description. We just have the general legal description. So, for purposes of right now, we do not have a surveyed off corner.
Is the ordinance have anywhere in it where the condition is listed? I didn't see it.
The ordinance does not, but the commitment is, intended to go with it. So to the extent, and the commitment itself offers it as essentially a condition to the approval and as consideration for the approval between the board and the applicant. So to the extent that it would get passed, we're bound to execute and record that document.
But in other words, you take it subject to that condition.
Right, but for passage, we won't.
Right, I got you. Now, then the third one is there's 4 of them altogether, I believe.
So
One is both, and the other one is
The 2 coalitions or 3.
2, yeah, I was gonna say there are 2 or 3 coalitions technically.
Correct. There's some R2 coalish, which is up west of 35 up by the lake, or closer to the lake on the other side of 35 from the lake.
Yep.
And the local business just south of the old railroad.
and these are as drawn on your maps. Can you, while you're sharing it, perhaps, Mr.
Sure.
I mean, you can show the Polish property so everybody can see that. That's real helpful.
I will do that here real quick. So here's the Polish, the northern Polish parcels. As you can see, they're ag located west of 35. Actually, near Mr. Wickert's property. And to the south, you'll see the Polish and the boat parcels. The Polish just south of the railroad line, and then the boat just to the east of 35. All currently in ag production.
That's 800, right? Yeah. That's what he was at, 835. Yeah.
And then I can go up to show the sort of the overall down here for the.
So the Polish property down there is the section 35, correct? The one south of the old railroad right away. Just, do any of the commissioners have any questions more about the identification of the parcels? I will represent to the commissioners that I have not, gone over these lengthy descriptions and checked them all, but I assume that, you know, if we ran into a problem, the maps would be sufficient and we'd be able to correct any errors we might find, correct, Mr. Shellman?
Yes.
Okay.
And we'd certainly be willing to do that. There's no intention of,
Well, I understand. They're pretty lengthy and sometimes those get complicated. Any other questions before we go to people who, I guess we have some people want to make statements. It's not really a hearing, but you certainly can hear what people have to say.
I think, I mean, as long as we are careful when we craft the actual motions to make sure everything's gonna be included properly, I'm satisfied. I just wanna, before we go forward, make sure we know what our plan is with regards to the Swanson property, because that's the one, like I said, that I think that's the one that got changed, reduced since the board meeting in November. I just want to make sure what we do reflects those changes.
Well, your ultimate decision on it's fine, you know, up to you, of course, but I think Mr. Shellman agreed that because of the legal description issue that you could, that they wouldn't claim the passage of time, you know, that you'd be able to do that at the next meeting if you wanted to, right? While you had it in front of you with the actual final description, because I think it's a little hard to tell on that one.
Right.
And as for the reason you
Yeah,
say, is that correct, Mr. Shellman?
yes, yes. We can proceed with the others which we know are squared away.
And I'm not 100% comfortable accepting this cut up, you know, from the Welker property without seeing it written in front of me, but if you're satisfied with his assurances, I guess. I'll go
Well, we would
along
put
with
it in the record that it was taken subject to that representation. So I think that's fine.
All right.
And there is the ditch as the delineating line,
Right.
as a known marker. And we have a setback from that ditch by the ordinance as well, so the panels will actually be set back even further from that.
Okay.
If we get some more statements, anybody?
Yeah, it's your meeting.
Is there anyone online that wants to make a statement or any concerns with this?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious to know if this property isn't rezoned to agriculture, is that going to make an impact on what's allowed there in the future? Because I know right now the question is this is being rezoned for this project, but I guess if you don't rezone it to agriculture, is that going to have any impact on farming on the land or any other agricultural practices?
Let me answer that.
Yes, please.
By the way, the question is from Jackie Ryan. I assume you're calling in as editor of the paper, right?
Yes, a media question.
Yes. The answer to that question is that under Stark County's planning ordinances, farming is allowed in residential districts. And of course, as Mr. Shellman has represented, I don't think there's any question about that. That is actually the current use on the property. So that is both an established use and it's also an acceptable use in a residential zone. And I think the same is true also. They got part of this local business. And once again, in Stark County, agriculture is allowed in local business zones as well.
Okay, thank you. That clears it up.
Is there anyone else online or on Zoom that wants to ask?
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
I'm a resident of Bass Lake, and I had a few minor concerns, a couple of months ago, but at our latest meetings that we had with this, I'm okay with the changes that they've made, and I think the commissioners have done a good job of doing their due diligence, and I support the project going forward. So thank you for doing your hard work.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, if there ain't anyone else, I guess,
So what's the right way to craft these motions to get this through, right?
I would suggest that each motion be, each property owner is a separate petition. And so each property owner's petition should be handled by a separate motion.
Okay, can I refer to them just as the property owner name and the intended rezoning action?
I believe that would be a fine way to do it.
Okay. Then here we go. I'll make the motion to rezone the boat property from local business to ag.
All those in favor?
Aye. And I will make the further motions to rezone the Polish properties listed here from local business to agriculture.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
All right. And then the Polish properties here west of 35 zoned resident R2 to agriculture.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
And I'll make the motion to rezone the Welker property from R2 to ag.
Second that.
Just a suggestion that you make it subject to their representation regarding no panels northwest of the ditch.
It's a lot of words to tack on.
What is it?
So, yeah, subject to, just, yeah,
So the condition as I stated, that's fine.
okay.
Yeah, it's northwest of the ditch. It's the westernmost property and it's the portion northwest of the ditch.
Okay.
Since we redid, I'll second that.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
And we'll.
And you're moving, I think the motion should be to table the other one by consent with the petitioner to start, to correct, just a Scrivener's question about the ordinance. Is that okay, Mr. Shonley?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
I'll make the motion just recommended by council.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
Mr. Shonley, thank you for your cooperation on this. Two of us could go over these and make sure they're all scrubbed clean, okay?
Yes, for sure. Talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for your help. Thank you.
Hey, Marty, could I ask a question? This is Larry Wickert.
Oh, hi, Larry.
Hey, I just wanted, do they need to take some action to extend that 90-day period?
No, council and myself, Mr. Shellman and I have agreed to that. Yeah, that's routinely done. We'll just extend the clock while we fix these issues.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, we'll move on. Stark County Economic Development Foundation contract discussion. I think Lisa's on here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Up next time.
Nothing that really changed on the contract. Lisa, can you go through it a little bit and kind of explain,
Sure.
discuss the changes that were made?
Sure. Yeah, when we started working on a draft contract, we kind of, the term of the contract, we were looking at some different, we kind of had, a little discrepancy. We started out with quite like a 5-year term of the contract. After the last council meeting, they recommended a 1-year contract. So we have made the changes to that effect. Compensation, what was recommended by the council was the same as it has been the past 2 years, the $159,480. We have left in or 12.5% of CEDA funds received by the county annually under the regular County Economic Development Fund 112, with up to 50% of said amount to be dedicated to skill. So basically, it will be an amount this year that can be split or will be split up to 50% with skill. So there would not be a separate contract or grant agreement for the skill center. That was another one of the changes. We also discussed, we added letter I under general description of services, which now says that the foundation shall provide to the commissioners and to the council within 45 days of the end of said calendar year of this contract an annual report detailing how each of the above items have been accomplished, including whenever reasonably available such facts and figures as SCEDF may have in its possession. So we will be providing something like an annual report at the end of each contract year. I believe that those were the main changes to what we had originally proposed at the council and commissioners meeting 2 weeks ago.
I guess one thing I had was, originally, how many, board of directors did you guys have?
We originally had 30 members on our board of directors, which we know, and you know, we've known that size board is too large. We want an efficient board, and so we're in the process of reducing those numbers a bit. Oh yes, so in the past, or in the contract for the last 2 years, we have had 2 council and 2 commissioners on the board as well as on our executive committee. So one thing that we had suggested in this contract that was different than last time was dropping down to 1 council person and 1 commissioner, and having the commissioner's position sit also on the executive committee. And that was another way that we're looking at to help reduce the number of our board members. Like I said, we want an efficient working board, and so we are trying to figure out the best ways to drop the numbers a little bit and still keep the people who are involved and want to be involved active on the board.
I think, because the way it states here, well, it'd be by June 30th of 2022, but we're doing a 1-year contract. So would you be less than 25 members, or is that where the number's going to be at?
Well, I mean, I think our goal for the first year, if we drop the number from 30 to 25, that is a good start for, you know, the first year. We think through attrition and through folks' terms expiring, that will also be a way that will reduce the numbers in the future.
Because in all reality, I mean, if you drop 1 commissioner spot and 1 council spot, so that's still, you're less.
So this is the list that she gave me now for 2021, and there are, excluding their emeritus positions, there are 25 people on this board of directors now.
Right. We have 2 director emeritus positions, which are basically honorary positions that do not have voting say. They are there if they want to be there. They're not required to be at a meeting by virtue of.
I would say they're already at that 25, that 22 number, which is why I didn't get picky about the date.
Right. Yeah, so, you know, obviously by going from just 1 commissioner, then you don't have, if you have 2, there's obviously a quorum, but reducing the county representation by that much, that's like 50%.
Mhm.
They're not reducing the rest of their board by 50%. Just my recommendation, I think it'd be nice to see at least maybe at least the 2 council seats remain. I don't know, or
Well, that's not kind of how I feel. I mean, there's more, we need to have the representation on there from either commissioners or council, but we need, that board has to be reduced at some point because that's one of the, but that review stated that's what needed to be done.
Right, right, and
A
we are
couple
working
people
toward
in
that.
reducing a board is in my opinion, so.
especially if the county's doing that.
Yeah.
50%.
The county's losing a couple folks, that's just not, I don't think the way it works, but.
Well, and I'll tell you, we want county involvement, believe me, I want complete transparency here. I want to, if there's an issue, I want it to be worked through before it ever becomes a problem. So, I'm very passionate about this and what I do here. And, you know, I just want to build relationships with the county. I want the county to be involved as much as they want to be involved. But everybody that says I want to be on that board needs to be here for the meetings and be on the board. And that's all I want. I want open doors here. I want everything, you know, I want transparency. I want the county involved so that there's no misunderstandings. I want everybody on the same page. So that's my thought about it.
We
have a good representation.
I would also suggest, so you have they have the 159,480 or 12.5% of the funds received by the county annually. At least for the first year, you might want to take out that or 12.5% of the funds received by the county annually for the seeded, because 12.5% of the funds we receive from for seeded from the state is actually equal to almost $192,000. So if you guys are wanting to stick to that 159, you don't want to have the or 12.5% because 12.5% is 192,000.
Especially if there's no instruction on who picks.
Yeah.
Kind of moot.
Dave, can I just confirm, I mean, I'm just confirming that the numbers in there are what the council agreed on.
At the time, we thought it was 157. So
Right.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't, you know, that there were 2 amounts we were looking at, but I did confirm what Rachel is.
Okay, good.
So we would take the or out.
Yeah, because technically it could only be the 159,480 because that's what's been approved for the budget for 2020. If you do the or 12.5%, then you would have to increase it to, sorry, the council would have to do an additional appropriation to increase it to 192.
And we need to stick with the 159 so they can work with it.
Okay.
You didn't mention anything about 12.5%. No.
I
So
mean,
that
otherwise we
was-
would have said the lesser of or something in addition to that wording, but no, we did not discuss that.
Did you hear that, Lisa? We got, I think, well, that would be something to take out of there.
So you will not consider the 12.5%. You will only consider the 159,480. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
I think that, and I don't know if you can work on the size of the board. That's the 2 concerns I guess we have right now.
I think that is very workable as far as reducing the size of our board. You know, we felt pretty good about that Thomas P. Miller review, and, you know we're doing good things here, so we certainly will work on the recommendations that were brought forth in that report.
Sorry?
Yeah, Dave.
But if you're gonna move tonight, though, I mean, you want to kind of hear a change in the number tonight, right? I mean,
I think we can wait till probably the next
Next
meeting
meeting.
to actually accept the final.
are you making the recommendation that the county still remain with 3 positions though, and not the 2?
You actually have 4 positions.
Yeah, we
No,
had
no,
four.
no, I only have 4, but I'm saying if you did get rid of one,
Yeah, I think we need to stick with either 2 commissioners or 2 council members and one or the,
2 and 1.
yeah.
The two council and 1 commissioner works a little better because you don't have to worry about the open door law.
Yeah, yeah. So if we could have 2 council members and then 1 commissioner spot,
Okay,
that's what we want to work with.
And then just have the 1 commissioner on their executive board.
Mhm.
okay. Perfect.
Sounds good.
That work?
Okay,
Yeah, I think Lisa, at our next meeting, if you can have the final draft,
Sure.
hopefully approve it then, so,
Okay. We'll have it ready to go.
thank you.
Thank you.
Travis, you're here.
Scream until they're barking dogs.
Yeah.
Everything in between. I think Mary Lynn's online.
yeah, I saw her earlier.
Oh, yes, I'm here online.
So this is certainly cool.
Travis has given us your, report.
All this is here.
That's mine. How do you have it?
They have my report in front of them.
Yeah, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, sorry. I think Travis passed them out and I worked on it today before I left. So as you see, we had our number went up on runs, actually. That was one of the bigger numbers we've had in a while, which is a good thing for us. You know, depending on what kind of run or whatever. But as you can see, if you go all the way to the bottom, the important part of this is where you can see how big of part the transfers pay in our revenue. This month, our revenue for the month, or the runs that we did, not so much, but will be based on like 36% of out of the hospital. Now, like I said, that could be hospital, that could be hospital back to a residence, that could be hospital back to the nursing home. They're all in the same ball of wax, except I do break them down by either ALS or BLS. So that's an important factor. That's a little bit higher. Usually it's 33, 34, 36 is one of the bigger numbers that we've had. If you flip the page, this is just the AR report. So, and it's a running total. And one of the things I do want to mention is that Medicare always had pretty much like a 14-day window, or they had a set window where if you had a clean claim, you got paid. Well, everything has definitely slowed up with the money coming back into the county on who we've billed, you know, the insurance company. So that, you know, like we may be lower this month, but just because we billed 191 next month doesn't mean we're going to get paid for those 191 by the next meeting. So I think everybody kind of understands that with everything going on, but that's something I wanted to mention. You can see down below, our revenue was 61,760, not extremely bad, but not where we would like it to be, but we have no control over any of this. You know, we're in a time, the January from last year was pre-COVID. So they were doing elective surgeries. They were taking people to other hospitals. People were not afraid to go to the ER for one thing. So everything's affected our revenue, of course, but like I said, transfers are really keeping us going. I mean, of course we have the 911s, but you know, 36% of that is quite a sizable chunk of money. I think that's all that I wanted to say, unless somebody has any questions for me. The only other thing I wanted to mention, the third sheet on there is still our old system. And actually that's just the AR that's sitting there. And most of those are obviously they're over 90 days old or up. But these are either in small claims or collections at this point. There's probably not any that are just sitting there. No, I should say there are some people that still do pay their $10 a week or whatever arrangement. So there are people still paying on these, but most of these are getting payments from either small claims across the street or Jonathan O'Hara, who is our collection agency. And this is probably a little bit lesser number because I think there's probably some that could be taken off that we haven't looked at the beginning of this year yet, which needs to be done. So if anybody else has, if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
No, I think we're okay with it, Mary.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, so real quick with my report here, it's the standard monthly report. Operations wise, continue to run smoothly. We still have the 4 ambulances running out of 3 bases, 3 24-hour 911 trucks, and 12 12-hour transfer unit during the day. Personnel wise, I hired an additional part-time EMT to assist with coverages as needed. I wanted to continue to minimize overtime as much as possible. We do not currently have any personnel in isolation. I did want to bring that up, so that's very good.
Knock on wood.
We are in the process of filling a vacant full-time paramedic position due to an individual retiring. He actually served 20 years on South Bend Fire Department and then came down here over the last 3 or 4 years. He's just ready to get out of it. So he's going to be leaving us here. Actually, today was his last day. The full-time EMT that was out on unrelated work injury, she's actually going to be coming back to her normal schedule this week. And I continue to work on the ambulance as needed. Typically here lately, we've had, again, a lot of unrelated injuries and stuff. I've been on about 24 hours a week, it seems like. So it could be broken up 6 hours here, 10 hours there, maybe a full 12 or 16-hour shift, something like that. But typically it's been breaking down to 20, 24 hours a week. So obviously keeping up on everything else too as needed. Training wise, we held our first in-person training in quite some time, obviously using masks and social distancing. It was a great training with representatives coming from Teleflex Medical out of the Chicagoland area. That's where we buy our IO needles and different things like that we use on patients. The training was a great hands-on airway and IO training. We checked out those new airway devices, like I told you, kind of, again, staying up on times, trying to figure out what works best for us, our staff, and patients. Really impressed with them, and actually they're cheaper than the devices we currently use. So we're reviewing that right now. I've actually been talking to the community foundation about possibly getting that. Again, the biggest plus there would be the pediatric blades that come with it for a video scope, which is great. Something we don't have right now. Unfortunately, we've had a few cases here lately with pediatric patients that needed intubated. It's a skill we don't do too often. Nobody wants to do it, but we want to make sure our crews are comfortable with that. So again, looking at grant options with mainly the community foundation right now. We continue to hold our audit review monthly with Stark and LaPorte hospitals. We continue to do those virtually with the county Zoom account. Rachel's help with that. It's been set up nicely. We've had no issues there. We've had, now that we're back in person, and again, we're seeing the downward trend in COVID cases, thankfully. We're starting to get more trainings coming up over the next few months. Some of the trainings that we're talking about are the Ben's Blue Bags, which come with a 2-hour training for our service. It would also be a great time to collaborate with police and fire in a training like this. Ben's Blue Bags would be purchasing items for special needs, specifically those with autism. Matt, who is a firefighter paramedic with Crown Point Fire Rescue, he's put together these bags to raise awareness for those who have autism. He has a son that suffers from autism, and he puts on an excellent training on how we should approach these patients. The bags are sensory bags named after his 5-year-old son, Ben, whose favorite color is blue. Each bag includes headphones, a dry erase board with feeling charts, fidget spinners, various sensory toys. So again, it's a great opportunity for us to get together with police, fire, and ourselves and make sure that happens appropriately, how to approach these patients. So we're looking at bringing him in. We also have a representative hopefully lined up from a university hospital in Chicago to come present an LVAD training to our crews. LVAD is a left ventricular assist device. It essentially is a mechanical pump that is placed in the heart to help a weakened heart pump. Basically, it's a battery pack that's strapped on, and that essentially mechanically operates their heart for them. We're seeing a lot more around this area, the LVADs, the life vests, some different things that we need to know about them and how, again, to treat these patients. Vital sign wise, they come, some of them might even not even have a pulse, but they're talking to you because it's mechanically, but you can hear it buzzing inside. It's really unique. And again, it's a new trend to kind of bridge that gap between holding off a couple years possibly for somebody needing a heart transplant. So we're going to be training on that. We looked into a sign language and triage training. That's another one where we can incorporate police, fire, EMS. We also in the process of setting up active shooter training at Oregon Davis schools. We'll hopefully have that done in the next couple of months before the end of the school year. We're in the process again with John Crowell's up there. And again, police and ourselves will incorporate fire as needed. We'll soon be doing our ACLS and PALS renewal for our paramedics. I think, again, everybody's excited to get back to in-person training. Safety-wise, we had an injury-free month in January. Ambulance maintenance 0084, which is the 2012 Chevy diesel, received 4 new tires at Sherwood Tire. 3308, which is our 2021 gas engine, received a full service at a local Ford dealership here at Lockmundy and Knox. 4230, the 2019 gas, and 0084 will both go into service or for services next week. 514, which is the 2015 diesel, received a service in the front end alignment. 0086, the 2009 diesel, and 0085, the 2013 diesel. Our backup units had no issues for the month of January. So we've been doing pretty well ambulance maintenance wise, bringing that other truck into the fleet. Base maintenance, we had no major base maintenance issues to report for the month of January. Other happenings, we've been getting several donations recently, kind of talking to the emergency department with physicians. They've actually been donating. I've been taking them up to Rachel's. They came in. Could be a $200, could be a $500, $150 donation. Basically, what we're trying to do is get a rescue task force bags put together. And they would have like 20, 30 tourniquets in each bag. Each ambulance would have one. Again, heaven forbid if we ever were to have a mass casualty incident, whether it's a shooting, bombing, or even a large scale bus accident on Highway 30, 35, 10, any of these major highway that we have coming through here. So again, there's a ton of equipment that goes in these bags, but anyways, they pretty much funded these just with the local emergency department. So I appreciate them helping out. Our current PPE status is stable. We continue to keep a close eye on that and make necessary purchases as they're needed. I'm thankful though that most of our stuff again is coming from the state of Indiana. I went down again last Friday or the Friday before that to Indianapolis and picked up some more PPE. I know Hamlet Fire I picked up for them while I was down there, and North Judson Fire. All the other departments advised that they were pretty good on PPE. So the other thing that I had for you was generator quotes. I know we talked about it last month when you requested that I try to gather some quotes for you.
Mm-hmm.
I did do that. So I have 3 companies that we have gotten from Live Oak Electric and Culver, which they've put in a couple local fire stations here, volunteer stations, Bass Lake. I'm not sure about some of the others that he'd mentioned. I don't want to give those exactly, but they have been in. So Live Oak Electric, again, out of Culver. He did place the tax on there. I did take it out of my copy. I apologize. So we're looking at $7,550 per unit. What these units are Generac 18 kW automatic generators. And again, for all 3 stations, we would be looking at $23,295. Actually, he did quote out a 24 kW for the Knox station because it is our larger station. We have 2 ambulances. We run the washer dryer and some different things there. Obviously, charging a lot more devices. So he recommended the 24, whereas the others said that we'd be okay with the 18. So with the 18s, all 18s across the board would be $22,650, and again with that 124 thrown in, it'd be $23,295. And again, that's without taxes on it. That's for them to install it. Install, they order all that good stuff, everything. As far as Live Oak too, what I like about them out of the 3, they are an authorized dealer as well, so they'll come back. There's a warranty, obviously, with it, and they come back to change the oil after 6 and 12 months, and then from there on out, you can get a contract with them as needed for, I believe, $295. You can get a contract with them to come back and fix anything as needed.
Okay.
So again, they're authorized dealer, whereas Bussy, who's a local guy, I get Culver's not far either, but obviously Bussy's here mainly within the county, North Judson, Winnemac area. He came in for all 3 stations, $23,437.18, and he's not an authorized dealer, so he would have to contact somebody else to basically come in The nice thing that Bussy did offer to give us though was basically we can order directly from Generac or whoever, and he's thinking that for 3 bases, we could save nearly $1,000 by doing that and having them deliver, and then they just come do the labor to hook that up. And the other quote was actually for this guy thought that we'd be fine with all 3 bases on 12 kW generators. And it's actually not a Generac, it would be a Briggs and Stratton, which again, and it came in at $21,792 for all 3 stations. I do have those quotes here for you guys too, if you'd like to. But he was Dwayne's Electric out of Crown Point. Hebron area, he was somebody that someone recommended. Contact again does a lot of business typically with fire departments. And it's cars. That's buses. So again, as I stated, you know, on New Year's Eve, we had that power outage for 15, 18 hours, mainly at our Medic 5 station that was affected. It got very, very chilly in there. Couldn't operate the doors, radio systems. Normally we don't have that issue, but I want to make sure we don't have that issue.
You didn't have any problems getting rigs out of the barn this weekend with the snow we had, did you?
No, not really. We had some issues that I think we got worked out with Rick as far as like the plowing and things like that.
Okay.
I guess we need to figure out if there's an agreement. I don't know if Rick's online with how we can get.
I'm here. Our new operations foreman did not realize that he had to organize that, but it will be good. All the bases will be plowed.
Okay.
So
is there an agreement that we have to do? Because Mary, when I called out there, she said something about an agreement that we had to do.
No, we don't have to do an agreement. We will be there to do the bases. Yep.
Yeah, and I think Rick and I got that hashed out. So I think we're all good.
Cool.
Technically, I don't think that's correct. We have to pay you.
Yeah, I think well, that's gotta be paid.
And that's what Mary was mentioning, but because it was out of their
Sorry,
right
Rick. But
Well,
yeah,
we're getting
they're the bases are not on
the right
a county roadway or right of way, so the EMS would have to pay you. Just like we would have to pay you for if we had an emergency, you had to do our parking lot.
That's what I mean, I think that's what we've done before.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's why Jim got the Kubota last year for here. So I don't know if that's something we need to hash out, but everything was.
We can work that out.
Okay.
And then,
Please do.
Yes.
So back to the generators.
Yeah, back to the generators.
You might want to look into plowing quotes too, because, and I mean, if we have to highway plow, we have to pay their labor, we have to pay the equipment use. It might be cheaper for Travis to hire a person to plow.
Okay.
So you might want to just
So look into that.
look into it.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing, I guess, while we're talking about that would just be the, I don't know if there's something I could work out with Rick as well. We had an issue with Medic 1 and North Judson responding to a call that night. I think it was around 1, 2 in the morning. So kind of the prime of the whole snow situation. But it took them nearly an hour to get from North Judson to Knox. Whereas normally, obviously, it's a 15-minute trip or so. So I don't, in the past years ago, and I don't know how this would work, but I don't know if it's possible to stage a county highway truck with us to respond to these calls in front of us.
If we get a phone call saying that we needed to plow a road, we could come out there in 10 minutes and get it done.
I have
Okay.
no objection to
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Our drivers have their plows at home and they can respond to it immediately.
Okay.
Okay.
So just
Yeah, that was.
be in good communication with Rick during the next snow event.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, back to this.
Back now, can we go back to the generators?
Yes, we can.
All right.
You asked me a question, I answered.
I know, but then anyway, sorry.
So anyways, the 18s, pretty much everybody thinks that it's going to give you about 80 amps of power, and I want to make sure we run at regular capacity and not have to.
Yeah, because you're running refrigeration equipment off of this too, right?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of both. So it's charging. You got to keep in mind too. We did just upgrade with the last grant to power cots, so even those have to be charging. Everything inside of the ambulance, the inverters have to charge. If we take a patient with an IV pump, or we're plugging in our Lucas devices, the chest compressions for us. But you know, the other thing is we want to keep the heat running because we have tons of medications on the truck. We do not want them getting down below the freezing area, or concerned with that, where we use thousands of dollars worth of medications that are now frozen. And Medic 5 luckily only dipped down to 48 degrees during that time, but that's still really cold. So we're looking out for the safety of them. Again, you had the garage door issue where then they pulled the release and that wouldn't work. So, you know, I just want to make sure everything's functioning as it would normally.
Okay, so based on that, which one would you like to go with?
You know, based off of just the authorized dealership and the warranty package that kind of came with it, I would recommend Live Oak Electric out of Culver. And again, if you went with all 18s at all 3 stations with him, he would be the cheapest bidder besides the Dwayne's Electric that had quite a bit smaller. And it was a Briggs and Stratton versus a Generac.
So you,
Well, the Live Oak is doing the Knox space would be 24 kV,
Right.
and another 2 would be.
The other 2 would be 18s. And he's the only one that recommended going that big, but he's like, just to be on the safe side.
But that
and that's,
includes them hooking everything up, right?
Yes, this would be pouring the little concrete pad, hooking it up, and everything in between. And he said typically, as far as it being automatic and running off of natural gas, that NIPSCO would come out usually and do that for a municipality.
That's all. Up by Coons Lake, that's even natural gas there, right?
Yeah, all of our stations are natural gas, so they're all quoted for natural gas.
As your auditor, I would advise you only going with one and seeing what your cum cap balance is toward the end of the year, and then
Right.
possibly doing the other 2.
Because I feel like
And he can break it down per station.
Knox base probably, I mean, I don't
the ones in town, in Knox and Judson, they're probably less,
prone to
Exactly.
going out, I
Yeah.
would imagine.
yeah.
And if you did just one, I would definitely recommend Medic
I was
5 and
waiting for
Grovertown.
discussion, but I was gonna say that too.
I would definitely recommend Grovertown though.
At
Obviously, it's a
least
more
that.
rural area, you know, let's say NIPSCO sees that we have 200 people out up there versus 10,000 here, they're obviously gonna fix this first. So I think if you did go with one, it'd definitely be Grovertown. That's more than
It'd be a
likely.
start, so.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
How much have we spent already out of QCAP? I mean, it's only January, I'm just curious.
It's not that we've allotted monies already. They have allotted money
Right.
for projects already
Right.
this year,
Right,
so.
like the sidewalk and other stuff.
So
I mean,
it technically hasn't been spent yet, it's just,
Right, but how much is
Spoken
committed?
how much what?
How much have we committed already out of QCAP?
About 142,000,
I mean, I just, you know, like,
Out of how much total that we had?
200,000.
that's, I mean, come on, this is January. I mean, I don't mean to be a bearer of bad
No,
news, that's making me really nervous.
They do have a very healthy cum cap balance, but they're only appropriated 200,000. The council would have to approve any additional.
I'm just speaking on behalf of the council right now. I'm just saying, I'm nervous of that part. The other thing is Charlie, I was just gonna say too, is we used to talk about working with the fire station. I mean, we've gone with generators, 40 years or whatever, but I mean, there are fire stations that are close to these bases also that,
Didn't we have generators that Teddy got one year or no?
He has one generator in the,
But since that's
EMA
not
trailer?
like set up for what you need.
No.
Okay.
well, and that's one of the biggest things we went with, wanted to do automatic versus a portable generator. So, somebody's not, we don't have gas cans sitting around missing and, somebody pulling it out, hooking it up.
I mean, that's something that our EMA director, whoever it is, could definitely look into.
for grants.
It's something that I think
Yeah.
that's needed to be done,
At least
you know,
the other two.
for years, to be honest. It's a 24/7 emergency services base. So radio systems and everything are crucial. Getting the garage door up, crucial. Keeping everything warm, crucial,
I wouldn't blame the garage door not opening on the power, though. It has a release cable. The fact that came up just needs maybe somebody to service it. I mean,
Right,
you can
right.
Open those, you don't
Yeah.
have the power to open it.
And luckily TJ Reese was kind enough to come up and get it fixed within 10 minutes. So it was a simple fix that he could roll back. But yeah, that did break, of course, during all that. But he did come up and fix it, donated his time. So, but yeah, if I had to recommend, if you would go with just one, it would be Grovertown. Again, with being in a rural setting. And again, I did reach out to Andy Lawrence to keep Medic 5 up in that area. And he offered the fire station at Coons Lake. But yeah, obviously all the volunteer stations have generators and I don't know, I'm sure the sheriff's department has, I'm sure everybody has them. It's something that's needed to be done. And I think this was an eye opener.
Mhm.
So that's what I got. You guys asked me for quotes and luckily got 3.
Yeah.
You feel like we should mess with it?
Well, I mean, it's,
Or we can research grants and stuff.
as,
I don't know.
as well as I know Murphy's Law, we'll pick one of these and then we'll have an issue at one of the others. You know,
Well, we can't do them all, so.
yeah, I think, yeah, the recommendation to do one and then see how our cum cap funds go for the next few months before we decide on more is a good plan.
Hey Travis, on that gas meter upgrade, we could probably have to be a bigger meter more like, is that $600? Is that per?
No, so, after talking to all three of these guys again, he did add that in there, that NIPSCO could charge an amount, but he said typically, again, with a municipality, whether it's fire department, police station, EMS base, typically they'll, just run what is needed or place a new meter. Again, I'm not an expert in that, but.
And that 7% sales tax should come off too. They got that 7%.
Yeah, I took
sales
that
tax.
off of my copy.
It's on here, yeah.
7,550 was what I got after removing the sales tax.
Oh, is it 7,550?
Yeah. And that's removing the 357.35. And he apologized for putting it on there. He was one of the last ones that I got, so.
Was there a motion to approve one Generac from Live Oak Electric in the amount of $7,550?
It's going, and it'll go up to Grovertown, right?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
I think it's
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Anything else? Any questions?
Nope.
Hey, Charles.
No,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Dave.
finish Bill Craig with this, but actually, he raises a good point too. REMC has that Roundup grant. That might be a good source maybe for another one. I mean, even though obviously they're gonna be using natural gas, they still,
Right.
tend to support stuff like that. You might look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was successful a couple years ago getting a $2,500 ride.
I remember that, yeah.
I think that's what they
Every 2
max
years.
out at. Yeah, I think I should be eligible again if
Every
we.
2 years.
All right, thanks, Charles.
Yep.
Rick, you're up.
Hey, if you look at the picture on your monthly report, that picture was taken Sunday morning at 4 a.m. Garage foreman Sean McCarthy was clearing the lot, getting ready for the drivers to come in for the snow plowing on Sunday. It was our first major snow event in almost 2 years, and when I mean major snow event, that's 5+ inches of snow. All our drivers worked hard. We had 5 drivers who had never been through a major snow event, and it kind of showed. There were some timing issues with the salt sand we're going to work on. Also, every time we have a major snow event, as the auditor could tell you, we have to kind of re-educate the public. We have a bunch of complaints on the first major snow of every year when we have one. And so on the bottom here, I have the major complaints that we have gotten and kind of our answers to those so people can know that we do have responses to these. Why can't you clear the roads like INDOT? The state roads obviously are a little more clear than ours. They can afford to run full crews 24 hours a day. We cannot afford to do that. We have to have our full crew can just barely get the whole road, all our roads done in one shift. If we split them up, we wouldn't be able to get much done at all. So we can't afford to do that. B, they can afford to use brine and pure salt at a level we cannot. This last 2 days, INDOT has spent more money on the Stark County state roads than we have budgeted for an entire year. So we cannot afford to do what they can do on the state roads with brine and pure salt. We have used brine before, but we just can't do it at that level. Also, the roads, all of their roads are hot mix asphalt, which are much easier to plow. 250 North, Range Road, and 50 South, which we've recently done with hot mix. All of those roads are clear. It makes a big difference when you have that hot mix, those hot mix roads. That's why we have that program to get 100 miles done. It's much easier to do those roads. Also, they have higher traffic volumes. So when it is snowing, when there's more traffic on that road, less snow accumulates as that traffic goes on it. So our roads tend to accumulate a little more than the state roads. That's why we can't clear the roads like INDOT. The second common complaint we get is our driveway is plowed in. There are 10,000 driveways in Stark County. If each driver has about more than 500 driveways in their area, if they took just 1 minute at each driveway, which it probably would take more for deceleration, acceleration, and do the driveway, that would add almost 8 hours to their plow routes. That would mean their plow route would be 14 hours to do. We just can't do that. We can't plow out driveways. Unfortunately, every county in the state has the same thing. No one can plow out the driveways. We just can't do that. Another common complaint we get is the plow hit my mailbox. Plows rarely hit mailboxes. If they do, there's almost no sign of the mailbox left. Normally the mailbox is leaning over or just the mailbox fell off. It's slush and heavy snow coming off the plow at 75 miles an hour. Snow comes off the plow at 3 times the amount of the speed that the plow is going. So if the plow is going the acceptable 25 miles an hour, coming off the plow is 75 miles an hour. That's what knocks these mailboxes over. We follow mailbox policy for replacement. If your mailbox is within 5 feet of the road, we do not replace it because in most cases, because it is too close to the roadway, we have a clear policy that has to be at least 5 feet off the roadway. For us to do that, we have to be able to plow the roads. The next complaint is you do not clean up the intersections. During heavy, prolonged snowfalls, which we have not had many lately, but this is the first one in a long time, we clear the roads first, and then we do the intersections the next day. Yesterday, we spent 12 hours on the roads just getting these roads opened up, and today we cleaned all the intersections up. We get this complaint a lot about the intersections at state roads. We do not handle those. We get a lot of complaints that they're not widened enough, but we do not do the intersections at state roads. The next complaint that we get is the driver is going too fast. The plows, because of the snow coming off the plow so fast, it seems like the driver is going much faster than they are. And we often get complaints that way. We do have GPS on the trucks, and we check that every time we get a complaint. 19 times out of 20, the driver is going within our acceptable range. It is rare that they're going too fast. And when they are, we address it. But most of the time they're not. It just looks like the plow is going much faster than they are. Another common complaint that we get is that the too much salt sand or too little salt sand. We had one subdivision near Tribute Drive on Total Road where 2 people complained that there was too much salt sand and 2 of them not enough. We do the best we can with that. We try to get our salt sanders to, calibrated to where they do it perfectly, but people are always going to complain either one way or the other. We do the best we can with that. Plow my road first. Some people are very upset that they are in the 4th, 5th, or 6th hour of the plow round. We prioritize our routes by traffic volume. The heaviest traffic routes we try to do first, schools, businesses, mobility. If there's 2 main roads connected by a secondary road, we want to do that secondary road. We plow the main roads first, the secondary roads second, and then the subdivisions and the dead ends and the gravel roads last. Unfortunately, someone has to be first and someone has to be last when you plow roads. We try to do it where the most heavily traveled roads are going first. That just makes sense. Most of the gravel roads are very sparsely traveled with 20, 30 cars a day. So we get that complaint a lot from the people on the gravel roads, but that's because their roads just don't have that many people on them. And it takes us 6 to 8 hours to do these routes. We have to go the roads that have more traffic. We check the plow routes all the time. This time I've listed all the plow routes, and each driver, the ones on the top are the easiest routes, and the ones at the bottom is the most difficult. We try to even them out. We try to basically edit these all the time and change them because it's a lot of hard work, and the drivers do the best they can. But we have 1,349 lane miles to plow. Cities and towns like Knox has about 60 lane miles. Hamlet has about 20. North Judson has about 40. They have less lane miles than every one of our drivers has individually. So we have a lot more to do, and that's why it takes us a little bit longer to do that. I don't think people always realize that. On the next page, we have that's our work board. As you know, this is the first work board for this year. That's our summer work. We completed our one last year. We had 80 miles of work that we were going to do. We ended up with 111 miles done. This year we have an ambitious program. This is the first time it's been up. Our bridge work, bridge number 7, which I'll talk about later. Same thing with bridge number 137. Our bridge cleanings, culvert inspections, culvert cleaning. 800 north, 300 east, that's a culvert replacement. We got a community crossings grant for that I'm working with Bill Crace, the surveyor, and we are getting that done. Same thing with another culvert replacement. The minor culvert replacements, we have 20 of those that we'll be doing on our own. They do not include a certified ditch. The Bridge 59 call for projects, I'll talk about that in a minute also. The road work, 600 east from 700 north to 900 north. That was approved in the call for projects in the second round of the 2020 grants. We'll be doing that this spring. 500 north, that was in our latest call for projects. I'll get to that in a minute. 700 east, that's in the next call for projects for Community Crossings Grants 21, the first round. We submitted that. That was Friday. I'll talk about that more in a minute. The crack seal program, we're going to do 25 miles. Grindings and reshaping, we're 15 miles. We're getting more grindings. The state's they're doing more projects on their state roads in this county. We get the grindings. They've been a great boon for us. We don't have to pay anything for those, and they really help us maintain the roads. Cold mix asphalt paving, we're going to do 15 miles, and chip seal, we're going to do 40 miles. We have about 103 miles planned. Last year we had 80 miles planned. We got 111 done. We thought we'd be a little more ambitious and start with 103 and hopefully get about 120. We'll see how that goes. We're going to reopen 1100 East. We've been working on that project for a couple of years. Other activities, Toto Road and 300 East, the intersection improvement. That was part of our NDOT call for projects also. I'll talk about that in a minute. The APWA certification and NDOT pre-qualification. If we get those, we get more qualified for more grants. We're continually working for those, and they should be completed this year. Our mowing, our brush chopping, our summer patching, our hauling of materials. These are basically things we do every summer, but we put these on the list so we make sure we have them scheduled. Grant applications, which are always applying for new grants, trash and roadkill. Snowplow training, it's not just snowplow training, it's all the training. We've been doing some in-person training. LTAP is starting to get rolling again after the COVID, and we're going to be doing more training this year, and we have a full schedule for that. Launching RoadSoft, that's our asset management program that we've been basically following, but we haven't fully implemented until now. Having Mary Perrin as the asset manager has really been a big boon and has helped us do that, and we should get that fully going this summer. The department website, we've already paid for the Stark County Highway website in addition to our Facebook page. That will help with our public relations. Facility upgrades, I'll get to in a minute. Road crew and weed eating we do every year, dust control, gravel roads, truck inspections, traffic investigations, which I conduct through the speed investigation and some other things every year, and working with LTAP. As you know, we have the four-way stop that we just recently put in, and equipment acquisition, which I will get to in a minute. Those are all of that's our summer work schedule. It's ambitious, but I think we can get it done. The next is the bridges, 137, that's in design. Bridge number 7, that's in design. Those are NDOT federally funded projects. It takes a little bit longer for those to get done. Projects we do on our own, just with our own money, we can get done a lot faster, but we just can't afford to do those Yellow River bridges on our own. Bridge 59, that's part of the grant application process for NDOT. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we just got our phase 2 of our latest round of bridge inspections. It looks very good. I will summarize that at your next meeting. Most of our bridges are in very good shape. We are in probably the top 10% of bridges in the state, and we're continuing to do that. Our bridges now that they are suggesting that we work on have sufficiency ratings of 70 and 80. Our average ratings in the high 70s, and about 10 years ago, our average sufficiency rating was in the high 50s. 100 is the best, 0 is the worst. Deficient bridges are 50 or less. Those 2 bridges on the Yellow River, those will be our last deficient bridges. It's really a good sign that they're putting the bridges we need to work on are bridges in the 70s, because that means we have 2 or 3 years to get those projects organized and done. In the past, the bridge would close before we started doing that, so we're way ahead in the bridges than what we used to be. On the next page, the community crossings grants. So we had 2 that were approved in the second round of 2020. 600 east between 700 north and 900 north. That's a hot mix asphalt project. And the culvert replacement I spoke about a few minutes ago, 300 east. Those projects will be in the spring. I just submitted the application for 2021, 700 east between State Road 8 and 625 south, hot mix asphalt. That is part of our hot mix program. That's a $800,000 project. We may have money left over for the second round of community crossings later this year. NDOT call for projects. As you know, I defended these projects at a NDOT Zoom call about 2 weeks ago. Now, we kind of submitted 3 different types of projects here because NDOT kind of has a different idea of what they want to pay for in different calls for projects. We submitted 500 North, and when I submitted it, they thought it was a good project, but they hinted strongly that it might go better for community crossings. So if we don't get it for this call for projects, we could put that in the next community crossings grant call, because they think that they may want to approve that more for that. The next, Bridge 59 replacement, 700 South. They really wanted to do that. I think we're going to get that for this call for projects. That was a aluminum box culvert. The state is very much against those culverts. And during that call, they sounded like we were going to get that. The Total Road site distance, we want to make 300 East a truck route from the industrial park down to Total Road, but we have to make that site distance problem. We have to fix that. They thought that was a good project, but they thought that might go better under HISP project, the Highway Safety Improvement Grants. It's HSIP. I am coordinating with Laura Slusher from LTAP because they referred us to them. We're more likely to get that grant in the future. So I think we will be able to get that in the next couple of years when we take that hill out and we can make that a truck route from the industrial park. The permits, I sent the commissioners our permit application that we think we're going to use. As long as you guys don't have an objection to that, we're going to start using that this next week. So does anybody have an objection to that permit?
Yeah, I didn't. You like that, if you're right.
We're good.
Works fine for me.
You see it? You see it?
So do we?
I'll look for the meeting tomorrow.
It looks fine, Rick.
Okay, we'll use that, and if we have to make tweaks on it, we'll correct them in the future. But Bill seemed to have thought he liked it, so we're going to start using that permit.
Okay.
All right. The facilities, we've made some major upgrades. We fund all our facility upgrades either with grants or the money we saved from the previous year. So that's what we're doing now. The generator that was just installed on January 9th, that was through a CARES Act grant. Now we are a fully operating facility if the power goes down. They still have to connect to our fuel pumps, but they'll be doing that in the next month. That was through that CARES Act. Our new garage doors, all of our garage doors will be less than 3 years old after this is done. That will be done tomorrow, actually. That's done from savings. No extra money has to be done. We don't have to ask for any money for that. Same thing with the new front door in our office. That was the original door from 1979. We're replacing that steel door in the front. It's arrived, and we'll replace it sometime in the next couple of weeks. We've replaced new lighting, and we also we did some repairs in the salt shed, but the salt shed's going to need a new roof. So if we save some money this year through some of our line items, we're going to use that on a new roof. I just want to let you know about that. We've been able to do all our facility upgrades. We've never had to ask for any extra money on those, and we hope to continue that in the future. US 30, I met actually 2 meetings in the last couple of weeks about US 30. There's a lot of movement there. There's a preliminary environmental investigation being done. We are still not paying the dues, and I don't recommend that we pay the dues until that investigation is done and see if they really want to do the project. The governor did mention the US 30 highway project, freeway project, as something that they are thinking about. And if it gets more serious, I will recommend to you guys that we get involved more in that. Thankfully, the US 30 coalition is allowing us to be on the committee, fully operating members of that. And I think that's a good thing. If this does get more serious, we may need to pay these dues in the future. So when they do the project, that we won't be forgotten and abandoned, basically. And we have all the accesses we have from US 30. But in the meantime, I just don't think we should pay the dues until it gets more serious. All right, vehicles. We have a vehicle replacement plan that we submit every year with our budget. We've already ordered the single axle that should be here in March. It's a year, every year we replace a new frontline truck. Our distributor truck that we've talked about a couple times, we have ordered that, and that will be in August. Same thing with our 3/4 ton pickup. We sold 2 3/4 tons during the last auction. The auction money will pay for this new pickup. Now we did have an accident the other day that totaled one of our newer single axles. We're waiting for the insurance on that. I have already inquired with a couple of our dealers, the international dealer in Plymouth and the Freightliner dealer in Gary. They're going to see if they have a truck ready to make. The international dealer that from Ohio, Colito Trucks, we ordered a couple years ago from one when the other truck dealers were asking for too much money. They have a truck ready to go. If it's for $132,000, which is about $10,000 or $15,000 less than the trucks we've been ordering in the last 3 or 4 years. So it's a good deal. I'm going to give the local dealers a chance to find a truck. If they're not, I'm going to send an email to you guys saying that we want to replace this total truck with the Colita truck if we don't get a better deal. Do you guys have any questions? That's all I have.
Anything? Anything, Brian? No. I think we're okay, Rick.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yeah. Motion to approve the payroll claims in the amount of $255,435.19.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty hard.
Motion to approve the vendor claims in the amount of $518,547.37.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So a motion to approve the minutes from January 4th, 2021 and January 19th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we got the EMA appointment. I guess Davey.
Yeah, we ended up deciding to recommend Mr. Matt Zett. During that discussion, it was raised actually that the other 2 applicants, that they had a lot of business experience. But you also had input in that as well, obviously, that just the other person had a lot more just emergency experience. One thing that was brought up was the possibility of maybe, if it doesn't look like he can like do enough with the grants, if there might be enough money there, maybe to hire somebody part-time, maybe just for the grant writing. On top of that, since we're not, paying benefits, that actually was just organic and came up in the discussion. In fact, we actually on the fly talked about maybe splitting it in half or splitting it in 2/3 and 1/3 or something like that, and just like one of them grant writing. But at this point, the recommendation from the board was to go that route and we'll just see how it works out. And then, like I said, but maybe the possibility of looking at somebody, 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, every other week or something for grants, if there was, if needed additional assistance with that.
So we gotta make a motion on that. Accept the recommendation.
Yeah, make a motion if we accept the board's, decision for Mr. Matt's,
I'll second
All in favor?
it. All right.
Then we have,
Yeah, they want me to work with Rachel for his onboarding and orientation and everyone lined up with all the state people and everything.
Yeah.
I'll just report back to you on it.
yeah, good.
Okay.
That'd be good. Then we got our additional appointments, looks like we have for the building corp, Jim Brown.
Motion, take Jim Brown on the building court.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye. And then, planning commission, I know Roger had resigned and then he had submitted, he sent me an email wanting to be reappointed to that. And then we had Mark Allen, looks like. He was interested in that.
Who do you want there?
Well, I think Roger knows the ins and outs of it. He's done good.
You're the one we put on the board, Brian. Who do you want to work
Yeah, who
with?
do you want to work with?
I'm here.
I don't know.
I'm right here if you want to talk. That's Mark Allen.
Yeah, Mark.
Hi.
Any particular reason you would like to be on that board?
Well, for many years, I know that the appointment was a township trustee appointment, and I've been the trustee for right at 10 years now. And I saw that it was Byron for a while, Walters for a while, and then Roger put his name in there right when he got reelected. So I mean, as far as that goes, I didn't know Roger would still be interested in it because he resigned. So as far as that goes, I saw a opportunity to put my name in, so I put my name in. And I've served as the trustee for, like I said, 10 years. And I know I've been on the BZA for a few years, and before that I was on the Stark County Merit Board for the Sheriff's Department. So I pretty much know the ins and outs of the county quite a bit. As far as that goes, I know all the rules. I've known Pam for quite a while. So, I mean, as far as my concern goes, I didn't know Roger would resubmit. So that's totally up to you guys. And, I'm more than willing to serve on the board, attend the meetings and be involved. So, like I said, that's something you guys have to decide. So. If you got any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, he's on the board. Whoever he wants to work with, I'll support that decision.
I think the deal with Roger, I think there was just miscommunication, how things worked and stuff. I think that just blew up in everybody's face.
I didn't know Roger. When did you guys get that email? I didn't get it.
He didn't see
It
it.
was like a few hours before our meeting this evening.
I was on there quite a bit. I seen yours and Marty's in a different subject.
It was at 5:23 PM is when he said he'd like to be put back on it.
That's all I'm gonna look at. I don't know, with all the trouble we've had on the board and stuff, I'd kind of like to see some new members. I'm gonna vote for Mark Allen.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Right.
Thank you for the opportunity, gentlemen.
Thank you. We got the CBC board. I guess we're still looking for.
That's a tough one to fill all the spots, and okay, say sometimes here it's good to get them all, but if you can't get them all, you get what you can, you know?
So because we've got a list of names here, and it looks like 3 of them represent one entity, so automatically we gotta pick one out of those 3.
Actually, you don't, I mean,
Or-
you're only doing 8 spots, so if you pick, you still need to downsize it.
Right, okay, yeah. So
Got enough people.
have we vetted this list for how many people are affected by the, there was some sort of clarification needed because it was, we want people who are affected by the innkeeper's tax on this board. Has there been any vetting? Are these people subject to having to submit the innkeeper's tax?
Martin?
If you have 2, I'm sorry, yeah. Are you still on that board? No, I don't rent anymore. I quit that a while ago. Yeah, it's too trouble between COVID and bed bugs and.
Yeah, you got enough to go? Or was that a lucrative position, Marty?
Well,
Linda Benazzi, would fulfill one of those.
I don't think it pays anything, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So it's not a lucrative office.
Do we have to keep it politically balanced?
It's supposed to be.
Okay.
I like meetings. If you need an hour, I do it. If you run out of people.
Yeah, you can have a simple majority of either party,
Okay.
only, and if you have 9 members, that means you can have 5 in one party.
Yeah.
But one of the appointments is the mayor's.
Yeah, the mayor's got one appointment.
And you're supposed to have at least 2 that are, that are gonna be paying the tax, and you can't go off for short.
Brian's been working on it.
And at least 5 of them are supposed to be involved in the business somehow, including being on a convention, visitor, tourism business, promoting conventions, visitors or tourism. Somebody who's involved in, but not necessarily an innkeeper.
And I heard that the lady that owns the sign place, she's been doing some brochures and things.
You just,
I didn't see the. She on?
I can read off the names of others if you guys wanna listen to them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Kathy Norm.
Right.
All right. Carol Heilstead, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. Mary Perrin. Earl Henry. Linda Benazzi, right? Tabitha Dorn. Daniel Boyer. Angie Monahan. Well, that would be it, because I do 8.
Okay, can I just verify what Kathy, Carola, Mary, Erwin, Linda, Tabitha, who else?
Daniel Boyer,
Okay,
mine.
okay. Make sure I get it right.
Who checks what boxes?
That's four, that's balanced, four from each.
Yeah. And two of those
Or
are
Bonanza actually.
renters and Linda, she's,
Yeah, Linda's
innkeeper's
good.
Yeah,
tax.
that, whatever that is.
Thank you.
I think,
And then we still have the mayor's appointment.
Yeah, the mayor might be able to get one because, you know.
Right.
Yeah, he might be able to get one.
I'm just gonna look at Mary's thing.
If you can't, you can't. If you can do it, you can. If available and willing to serve.
I was gonna have that Joan, but we can't, we only get 8.
Can I interject here, gentlemen? Mark Rippey here. Dan Boyer is an innkeeper, and he should be on the list. And of the names submitted, there was also a person from Bass Lake who was involved with a lot of monitoring the rentals there. So I thought they would be good when we put the list together. So there are people out there with a lot of community assets that I think should be considered.
Yeah, you chose him.
Yeah, I got Dan.
Yeah, Dan was on Brian's list, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's,
And he's an innkeeper. Right, okay.
So that's two.
That's 2, so we have 2, that's good, we got that.
Thank you, guys.
Say,
And, you know, it says a simple majority should be involved in that kind of business. You know, the way I read it, those 2 are also in that category, so you need 3 more, if you see what I'm saying, that are involved in the business. It could be, you know, whatever, promotion, of having, doing events or something.
to, I think Kathy Norm, Carola, Mary Perrin, Evelyn Henry, Linda Benazier. For sure. Talk to the other ones,
And
Daniel Boyer.
If you do it this way, you do get it balanced.
Mhm.
In the end, there's not gonna be balance, because one's gonna have 5, one's gonna have
Yeah.
4, but that'd be up to the mayor's decision.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I'm okay with that.
You wanna,
Can you make that a motion?
no, making that a motion?
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
Thanks for mobile response students. Oh, hey, Charlie, could you back up on the appointments? Didn't you have a park board appointment from the?
No.
No.
Those are filled.
There
was a. Mm-mm.
The judge got one coming up.
Yeah, the judge. All of our
All right.
appointments are filled right now except BZA Democrat.
How about the people?
Yeah, and the people, you're right. You're right.
All of that.
Okay, so
So mobile, you know, we have that mobile response team going with the sheriff's department, EMS. I think some other people are involved, or if there's an overdose, they go out and they're the mobile response unit. That, I think it's Start who's doing the grant, working with HealthLink. I believe they are stationed, they used to be stationed at HealthLink. Well, since HealthLink started giving out the vaccinations, they kind of kicked them out for now, and they've been looking for a spot. Now, if we don't have a spot, that's okay. This is just they're just asking us first. So they inquired about this room. I said, no, not, well, first, you know, I asked you guys and said yes, but I found out that they're more looking for a spot Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. That's not going to work for this. I talked to Bernadette. Right now, the first floor conference room in the courthouse is not rented out so much right now. So you could possibly do that, or if you, and they would pay us rent. But if you, or if you don't want to do anything, you don't have to, and they can, look somewhere else.
Yeah, I think.
I can't give them a room fully for the Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, but between the downstairs meeting room and my election room upstairs, I could probably house them the majority of the time. I can't say it's gonna be every day, but a majority of the time.
Well, see, I don't think that would be good enough. I mean, they're looking for, sounds like it's pretty, maybe not permanent, but at least stable.
I'm
And
wondering if there's like a place in the hospital. There's gotta be some empty places in the hospital.
I would say, I'm pretty sure we don't have that available within the county buildings. Might refer them to the town, to Knox here, their community center. They've got, I don't know how much that's getting used these days.
Especially if they're renting place.
Well, the community center, they probably won't be able to go to because that's where we get our vaccinations. But,
The hospital does have a lot of space though.
Yeah,
Especially on the second floor, they have those rooms.
Right, that's what I mean. You would think
They're
that.
not doing the training anymore up there, so it might be better.
They need to have them check into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been any closure to the public, the government buildings. I think we went back and learned.
Yeah, and the state has changed its recommendations slightly. But I don't know how you guys feel, if those are changes enough to warrant opening.
If you look at the advisory level, then it's always a 7-day.
It's a tough
decision.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, I really want to open up, but then again, I don't want to put anybody at risk.
I think they're just, we'll reassess it again at the next meeting.
Yeah, maybe we get better, with all the vaccination.
Yeah.
Coming and stuff.
Yeah, especially now that that's kind of what's leading me to want to reopen is because today they announced that it's opened up, the vaccinations are opened up to 65.
Disclosure means.
I can get vaccination.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to do appointments.
But the way I understood the rule too is you're supposed to do it, stay like the cycle, in orange for, 2 cycles, right? You were in 1, so last time we went back to red, so probably won't happen this time. But so that means the next time you have a meeting, maybe.
Where were we at as far as the positivity rate? Does anybody remember where we were at when we started this by appointment only?
I don't remember 100% where we were at. It seemed like it was, Frank told us it was like 12% or something. I can't remember.
Oh, I thought it peaked at like 19.
But it could have been.
Close to
It could have been.
Yeah,
Was
and
it
now
close
it's
to
dropped
20?
down to like
Yeah.
what, so it is dropping.
Yeah, it was
I think it would hit 19 for a while.
I think we better just keep it.
Take another 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll reassess it at the next meeting.
So I'll make the motion that we remain by appointment only to the public until our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, just so there's no confusion too about the next meeting, because Mark did just say till the next meeting, which makes sense. Do we want to wait until we get closer to the meeting and we'll make a vote? So there's no confusion between you and I of whether we're going to close the meeting or not. We'll just make sure at least hopefully 48 hours before, but if we really start doing good, opening the meeting back up, or.
I think we'll just keep it closed
Until we make a decision at our meeting.
Decision at our meeting.
All right, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Right. No, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
And then I know we pushed out for a while, but there was something else we had dealt with at the beginning of the year as far as special time off for people that test positive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the COVID pay, the FFCR, it's part of the FFCRA. Yeah, you have to decide whether or not you want to extend that or not.
How is, I know it hit your office.
Actually, I don't think that anybody's.
I mean, you guys were closed for a week
Yeah.
since then. So I think it's probably wouldn't be a bad idea actually to extend it through the second quarter of the year, because it's still going to be here. We're not going to have the vaccines rolled out to everybody by then, I don't think.
Don't you feel like we should do it?
I think we should extend that through.
And that's just basically, I mean, if employees have to be off for COVID, if you don't extend it, they're gonna have to use their own time or be unpaid. The COVID time is essentially, now it is essentially, you as the Board of Commissioners are giving the employees that it's free time, you know, because it was regulated by the federal.
It's an additional type, like an enhanced type of sick pay.
Mhm.
I'm kind of betting that we won't have that many as time goes on.
The numbers have dropped. Was that your motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we extend that through, or to July 1, 2021.
Second.
All in favor,
Right.
Then we have grievance hearings, discussion. Marty, would you care to maybe, I guess?
I'm going to read this into the record.
Yeah, if you could.
You know, it's based on, kind of just my feeling about it, but you've all had a chance to review this.
Yes.
And is this correctly, I mean, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, because you really have to decide here today, is this correctly reflects what your decision was? Okay.
Yep.
This is the, I'll read this into the record. Then Board of Commissioners, Stark County Mary Beaver Grievance Remedial Action Plan, February 1st, 2021. Under section 6.12 of the Stark County Employee Handbook, staff person Mary Beaver filed a grievance alleging an uncomfortable working atmosphere in the department where Ms. Beaver is employed, that being planning and zoning. The commissioners conducted an executive session on January 27, 2021, after notice citing Indiana Code section 5-14-1.5-6.1 B, 6A, and B. The commissioners, the county auditor, and the county attorney were present. The commissioners and the county attorney interviewed several staff members in the planning and zoning department. Commissioners find that each staff person in the department expressed a sincere commitment to serve the public, and that there have been recent instances of friction. The commissioners find that the public service mission of the planning and zoning department may best be served, and friction may be reduced by restructuring the department to clarify job responsibilities and chains of command, and to make the position titles and job descriptions more consistent with the 2010 county ordinance creating the office of the building commissioner. Therefore, the commissioners decline at this time to assign blame, but instead order the following remedial action. 1, the position or job description, currently called Plan Commission Clerk, should be retitled Plan Commission Administrator. 2, new job descriptions shall be drafted for both the Plan Commission Administrator and a separate position to be called the Building Commissioner. At that, the Building Commissioner position job description will be drafted to be consistent with the 2010 county ordinance creating that office or position. 3, all job descriptions will clearly identify that position's supervisor. 4, drafting of the job description should be done after seeking input from the Plan Commission and the BZA with final approval by the Stark County Commissioners. 5, the Plan Commission has authority to appoint, employ, and remove both the administrator and the building commissioner, consistent with the policies and procedures set forth in the Stark County Employee Handbook 2021 edition. 6, the commissioners believe that these changes can be made within the existing budget. The commissioners note that the salary ordinance is within the authority of the Stark County Council and respectfully request the council's assistance in making these reforms. 7, after the restructuring of the Planning and Zoning Department, the commissioners reserve the right to review the situation and consider whether additional action is needed to help ensure that the Planning and Zoning Department operates with a focus on service to the citizens and appropriately under the Stark County Handbook, Stark County ordinances, and Indiana law. If that's your, be a motion to adopt that if you are so inclined.
Motion. Yeah, I'll make the motion to adopt the items that have just been read.
Okay.
All those in favor?
You got anything else, Mike?
Good, I'm done.
Paul, do you got anything else?
I do not.
Rachel? Think you guys got anything for us? Happy to be here.
Oh,
Brian,
my
do we have a
gosh.
time frame yet? When you want that meeting on that grant?
Yeah, that's coming up for that 250. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got an email today. And we're supposed to meet again really soon. Did you see that from Edwin?
I did not.
We got one today. And
They
it's
said they were supposed to reach out.
supposed to be another, yeah.
They actually extended the deadline too. so
Yeah, they
the
did
deadline
extend the
is March.
deadline, which we were on it, and like, so it didn't help.
Can I
us.
say one more thing before you're done?
Bill? Yeah, two quick things, so Rachel will train me here. To go along with the new highway department, hot mix roads, Rick and I partnered up and we have been putting permanent section markers in actually Harrison, so we don't have any more surveyors chiseling up our roads. These are permanent markers that do not get covered with asphalt, that are cemented in. Just for quick reference, so as Rick does these new roads, these new markers are in stock, and we'll have them installed. The second thing is Dave and Brian and I talked about checking into a blight elimination grant to kind of help clean up the county of some of these buildings. So we're going to be checking with Rick and Edwin through Oprah to see if we can't get a grant to maybe possibly start cleaning up some of these unsafe buildings. So just wanted to let you guys know quick what we were working on, and then at here coming up soon, Dan Dumbs and I will be coming to give a full report to you guys of the river activities.
Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Sorry, Rachel, it's 3.
Mark, I think you had something for us?
Yeah, I just have something, looking back with the CVC and the tourism. The innkeeper's taxes collected in 2020 have not flowed through. Tourism has been working while the funds have sat there. Any documentation you need, we will work to provide, but the fact that there's about $28,000 sitting there that's not flowed through has became an issue that I think we need to deal with.
Mm.
And I would have brought this up last meeting when it was tabled, when it was you and the council. So I apologize, I'm a month late. So if we can at least put that on your agenda and it not be swept under the table and resolve this, I would appreciate that, along with tourism and the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Rachel, you got something on that?
Mark, the CVC tax, if you remember in 2019, the CVC board is supposed to approve through the minutes the claims that are paid out of the innkeeper's tax fund. In 2019, I asked you for the minutes and you did not provide any documentation, but I still let it get paid out because I was new. But I have since verified this with the State Board of Accounts, which I spoke to you about in 2020. And that's why nothing's been paid out. You've been repeatedly asked for a CVC board to be restructured because it fell apart. So in 2020, the CVC board was not restructured. Therefore, no money could be paid out of the innkeeper's tax because the innkeeper's tax fund requires that the CVC board approve the claims and provide that claim signed by all board members and the minutes from that board to the auditor before the auditor distributes the check. So I've spoken to you about this several times in 2020 and nothing was ever done about it.
That was never explained in that detail, Rachel. I apologize, I did not know that. Also, the CVC, the active members were only 2 people. And that was it. So if there was miscommunication there, it could have been on both our parts. But I just don't want it to get forgotten about because tourism has been promoted, even in COVID. And in reading the contract between everything, it's not as clear as you stated. So maybe we did not have all the information.
Well, since the Board of Commissioners,
I'll work to help and get everything where it needs to be.
the Board of Commissioners reappointed the CVC board tonight. So it's from now on, the CVC board, who they appointed tonight and who the mayor is gonna appoint, they can move forward and they can do their meetings and provide me with minutes, so that money will be paid out according to what the CVC board decides.
So
I'm gonna chime in and say Rachel's right. The CDC board is the only entity that has authority to take that action. Okay. That's not, there's your question, right? Thank you, Mark.
Hey, thank you guys.
Does anyone else on Zoom have anything for us?
Yeah, I got one quick thing. I promise it won't take long. You're making it worse. Since I just got appointed to the KRBC and sort of Rachel, there was some talk in the previous meetings about a grant for the skills center. I did call them today to find out what that grant was. And the reason the county has nothing to do with it is because they were funding their part themselves. And what it's for is for another building. Because evidently they're getting thrown out of all the schools. And so that's, if you hear something about a grant, I'd let you guys know, because it was in those minutes, and Rachel and Brian and I talked about it, so I did call them today and asked them, so just for your.
So they're working on a grant through CRPC for a building.
It's through the EDA, but it's through CRPC writing the grant.
Okay.
Or administrative.
All right.